I think that worked instead of starting it in the morning. You know, if there was something in Lincoln Park that went from 12 to 3 or something like that, or even 10 to 2, that would not impact the plaza at all.
Okay. Yeah, that's the only concern.
That's just a thought.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to lose your crowd to, you know, parents saying, well, I have to take my child to Lincoln Park. What are they gonna, what are they gonna do at Lincoln Park? So, and then I have to come back and I have to find another parking and all of that. So the pros and the cons, but as far as everything happening for my part, I think it went really well. I was very, very happy with it.
Okay.
Kenny Roybal has joined the group, and so I believe we're on YouTube right now.
Okay.
Kenny who?
Our IT people. So we are being broadcast at the city website.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
Dwight, what's your feedback?
You know, I got a lot of good feedback from a lot of the people that I talked to. Again, a lot of them liked the fact that there wasn't that many novelties. Same thing, you know, the fact that the food lines were really, really long. That was one of the complaints. But one of the complaints I got mostly from the bands, the disparity of pay. And I know at one time in some of the meetings, we had determined that there's going to be, you know, just a couple of pay scales, you know, but, you know, some of them are, especially some of the local people, it's like, okay, well, I only got X number of dollars, but this person got like twice of what I got, and they're local, just like I am. And, you know, so those are some of the complaints, you know, and then I had some people say, well, how come this person charged when they said they're going to play for free, but they got paid, you know, X number of dollars. You know, so those kind of things, you know, those are the complaints that the only complaints that I got.
Well, I can let you know for the bands, and it's public information. You all have it. I've sent it to you all the financials you have right now. The bands, the headliners, of course, will get more, and we stayed within the pay scale that the committee had agreed to. We stayed there. The majority of the bands that performed, they agreed to the amount that we offered them, or they said, you know, we had a couple of them say, I'll play for free. And I know people are talking about Gonzalo, that we paid him. We did not. We paid his band, not him. We paid his band members because our agreement with him was he performed for free. But of course, his band is a huge band. They need to be paid. Yeah. We paid for his sound, the backline, but that was it. I mean, and it's a public information. So, I mean, of course, we get that complaint every year from bands, but when they talk to me and when we negotiate the contracts, I did every contract and none of them had any issues. So
until afterwards,
yeah. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, it's when people start talking and they see who got paid what. That's when they start getting cranky. But
yeah, there was one that said that we paid a band member $7,000. We didn't pay anyone over $2,000. No one.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. That I started to think that. But other than that, like I said, I think it's, I think everything went really, really smooth. I think everything went really, really well. A lot of people were a little disturbed with the new stage, but I think at the end they were fine with it. And it's one of those things, you're going to have those people that, when it comes, it's like I constantly say here at the radio station, people complain and complain. They want change. Then you give them change and they complain because of the change.
Yeah.
And so I mean, but I think with time they'll get used to it. I mean, it's nothing more different than what they're doing other places, and, as far as the novelties, like they were saying, once, if you move it down to Lincoln Park, you move your novelty people down there and keep it clear from the plaza itself, because down in those areas, then, down over around Carnegie and Lincoln, there's not really any vendors as there is like downtown. So I think that's a good move.
At City Hall, we had 4 complaints about the stage. Other than that, it was an overwhelming success. Everyone that we polled, we even did a survey, and we did a survey through SurveyMonkey, and the merchants were pleased, the constituents were pleased, everyone was happy. We had 4 people who didn't like it.
And the pictures I saw were great. Everybody was focused in one direction. It was a graduated rise, so you could always see what was going on. I think it was genius, Chuck, really.
Well, you know, one of the pluses that I see to having that stage the way it was is for law enforcement, is because they can stand at the top and watch down, or stand at the bottom and look up. And like Nancy says, everybody's facing the same way. Everybody's in the same direction. So it gives you an idea, as opposed to before, everybody was spread out different ways. It's a little harder to gauge your groups and your crowds that way.
Yeah. Cool.
But other than that, I think everything was good. You know, from other than those things, other than that, I think everything worked out really well.
Okay. Susie.
I sent in a written report like months ago. So I know everybody's read it and memorized it, and I don't even remember what was in it, other than starting earlier, obviously, so that we can give the artists more time to consider it. I think that there's a preference that we go back to the bigger size, consistent. I mean, this was the year of COVID, but the bigger size would be great if we can afford it. And Chuck, I don't even know if I don't remember. You said you never read it the last time I talked to you, but you requested my report, so I sent it.
No, I read it.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing was to start earlier, and that was her thing.
You mean start planning
right.
earlier.
And then to give the artists more time to get on board.
So that's basically thinking of what the theme is going to be, doing that the first thing so artists can know.
And one of the things that Susie and I had talked about was, I guess there was artists who were kind of felt that the $1,000 that we awarded was too much.
Yeah.
So
that's me.
That's interesting.
I never heard somebody say, well, you're giving me too much money.
Too much money. Okay.
Nacho I talked to Nacho about it, and about the fact that we had such a puny turnout. And he said he thought it might have intimidated some local artists, the amount.
Oh,
interesting,
please.
huh?
Oh, please.
That was his opinion.
The other concern that Susie had in that letter was our theme wasn't specific enough. So.
Well, you know, we had canceled fiestas, so I get that.
Well, that's exactly the point. It all had to get thrown together at the last minute, and that made it tougher. But Nancy, if you could do something about the pandemic before next year, I think it'll go well.
Hey, I've done my part. I got 3 shots. So,
and back to the Queen.
What? Go ahead.
Back to the Queens. I heard from Lisa that there weren't as many girls interested in being queen as there used to be, and that maybe some of the requirements need to be adjusted because the community is a little less bilingual than it used to be. But I was talking to some queens this summer, some past queens, Jean Goudelet's family, a couple of them had been queens. And they said that they would love to come to Vegas and go into the high schools and talk to the girls about what a privilege it was to be queen. And see if they couldn't stir up some respect for the whole concept, the dignity and the pride and the culture that we may have. You know, I don't know. At Sharon's daughter's birthday party, I sang Las Mañanitas, and there wasn't another kid in the whole group who knew the words to Las Mañanitas. And that kind of told me something.
Rosita, remind me of the ages for the queens.
17 through 24. And
17.
the only reason we went to 17 is because any younger, we're taking a liability.
No, absolutely. No, I really couldn't remember the top.
Yeah, 24, 17 to 24. And Chuck had said that they didn't have to do the speech in Spanish,
Right.
but they did have to have a talent. And that's where you're finding a lot of your girls that don't have, like I have two cheerleaders that do mariachi, and I'm trying to talk them into running, and they have their talent right there. I have another one that says she doesn't have talent, but she does for Corico. I told her she could do a dance.
Yeah.
How is that no talent?
Yeah, really.
They're not. They don't think it's talent, and I told them, "Oh my God, you're in the mariachi group, and you don't think it's talent, my Lord."
I'm sorry. Is there any reason why the top has to be 24 and not college like 22?
No, you can change the time. We only did that because we went from 17 to 24, and because there was a lot of young girls that go into that age that wanted to, but we could cut it at 22. We could cut it at any time, any age we want.
Can we get maybe the requirements from maybe Taos and Santa Fe and see what their requirements are?
17 to 24. That's where I got this.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it just seems like a 17-year-old competing against a 24-year-old is the spread in age seems
It's not fair.
Large to me.
In the experience doing it, when we changed it to 17, because it used to be younger, and leaving it at 24, some of the 17-year-olds, as far as their articulate talking and stuff, was better than the 24-year-old. Yeah. Their demeanor, as far as the way they carried themselves, was better. So it depends, because some of your 17-year-olds are not act like 17 nowadays.
I know. Okay.
So it all depends. Like you say, I understand what you're saying as far as that, but there is girls out there that are 17 and they look like they're already in their 30s.
Yeah, well, there's 9-year-olds who look like they're in their 30s. All right. So I guess one of the things that we need to spend some time on going forward is the whole concept of the RENAs.
Yes.
And what that will entail. And I think it's a great idea to get past Queens to get into the high schools and even into Highlands.
Yeah, because you have here in town, you have quite a bit of Queens. Lisa's one, Mrs. Bustamante's one, Crystal King's one, Percesa's one. We have a lot of girls here that were Queens that could possibly, we could ask them to meet with us and then tell them what we'd like for them to present and their experience.
So is this a geographic thing? I mean, can girls from Mora?
No, it's San Miguel only.
San Miguel, okay.
Pecos has their own and Mora has their own.
Yeah,
now we got to remember, we've got to be careful. This part of Pecos is San Miguel. Yeah. And part of it is Santa Fe. So we've never had, the last time that a girl ran from Pecos I was a young girl, and that was Trudy Raybal. That was the last one that ever ran from Pecos.
That was the second Fiestas, right? So I've been spending too much time on it. Sorry about that, Rosita.
No problem.
Okay, so RENAs is something that we are going to
concentrate on. Okay, Susie, what else besides the fact that we offered artists too much? They want to continue to be starving artists? Is that?
Yeah, I guess that's it. That was just one person's opinion. Nacho also said that a lot of artists need more time to think about it.
Yeah, well,
that's all.
Yeah,
and that's nobody's fault, but I blame COVID for that.
Yeah, that's going to be the excuse for the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susie, do we have, I'm sure we do, but are you aware of the teachers that teach art at the high school? Do you know them?
Very well.
Okay, maybe what they need to do is once we get our theme, is they need to do it as an assignment and make it as a project.
But the schools are out in the summer for that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
No.
Because if you announce the theme early, kids, they don't have to be in school to do art.
Yes, we want them towards the end of the school year. They do a project and that will be a grader. They'll get a grade for it, but then from there, our teachers can give them to us, and we can choose somebody from there, plus anybody else that comes in from out of the schools. Yeah. But it'd be good to get our students involved, because you've got a lot of creative students in the high school, and I know that because they do posters for our games and stuff, and They have some nice stuff.
I did send them the calls, although it was after school was out that we even started thinking about it. But I can plant the seed now. I'm happy to do that right now.
Yeah, you need to do it since now, and encourage the teachers to do it as a project, because the kids, if you tell them we want you to do it, no, you tell them, okay, this is going to be a percentage of your grade, how well you do an art project, on the Fiesta.
Now, Rosita, you know they have curriculum requirements, and they can't go off and do everything that they want to do. So there's that to take into consideration too. Another thing was, if the check was ready sooner, the gift check, and it could be presented at a city council meeting. That I don't know whatever happened to that, but I think that that's a good way to advertise the poster and the fiestas.
Yes. I know what you're saying on the curriculum, but this would be like an extra thing.
It could be extra credit, or it could be a term paper.
Yes, that's true.
All right, so I think let's go over this agenda, and maybe that will jog anybody's thoughts about maybe something that we missed. So, the location in the park is fine. We have enough time to consider whether we're going to branch out and do different areas. We need to come up with a theme. The Fiesta schedule, any theories on that? I mean, starting at 1 o'clock seemed to work fine.
Perfect.
On the theme, Nancy, the theme, Chuck, you talk to a lot of older people, maybe, or ourselves. Have an older person say, what would you like for our fiestas to be themed at? What kind of theme would you like? You'd be surprised how many people out in Las Vegas would come up with a theme, Chuck. So we need to all, as a committee, Dwight, maybe put it on the radio. Do you have a theme? Would you like a theme? Even have a little contest on a theme, Dwight, on the radio. You know what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to talk about our elders. I know we briefly, before we canceled everything, talked about getting oral histories or memories of Fiesta.
Yes.
And I think, and I'm not sure we need to do it at Fiestas, because that would be waiting another year and we may lose more, but possibly we could partner with the museum and have folks be interviewed, and or the media arts department at Highlands. So I would like that to be on our next agenda. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Well, what I wanted to do is, if we could get the ancianos to give us their stories of past fiestas when they were little, and then when we're transitioning from one band to another band, we can put it on the Jumbotron and their story will come out there. And so everybody can see it and kind of take in that person's perspective of what it was like back in the day. So
I love that.
And then we can use those. And the other one thing I wanted to do with them is, once fiestas are over, we can play those in the breezeway.
Yes. Because I can tell you, like, for example, on the Fiesta Queens, it was a penny a vote. That was a big thing. That's what we called it, a penny a vote. You were there, Chuck. You were there when Carol was there and all of us. And it was all votes. It was not a contest. It was a vote.
Susie, that might be able to happen at the Arts Council. And I know we have different videographers in town. That might be something that even the Arts Council, instead of getting Highlands involved.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just a thought. I mean,
well, if it's something that the committee wants to do, Nancy, myself, and maybe Susie can take that on and we can work on that. We don't have to set it now, but we can work on it.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the poster later, right?
Yeah, because we have to come up with a theme. So I think for our next meeting, we need to talk about venues and the theme.
Yes.
And then we could talk about these oral histories as well, because frankly, there's no reason to redo the route. Judges is kind of a last minute thing. The staffing and the roadblocks, that can wait till next year. We've got the dates. We can be thinking about the Grand Marshal. Second page, the poster is well, that will carry from the theme. Entertainment, I mean, we pretty much, that's a done deal. The vendors, the issue about how did it work with the how do you say, the fire marshals inspecting everything worked okay there? Okay, well, there you go. Veterans ceremony, that can wait. We know fireworks are going to happen. It doesn't quite matter when. We talk about that. Public works, a lot of this stuff is just boilerplate. Mm-hmm. And it's the same every year. But I think some of these other things we need to get on. And the other thing we need to get onto is, do we want sponsors? Do we want to raise money? Do you have a budget for next year, Chuck?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, I have a budget, but we need to get as many sponsors as we can.
Okay.
Now, by sponsors, what are you talking about? Are you going to do like a?
I think we're talking about the banks. We're talking about Wellborn Paint, which is a New Mexico company. We're talking about radio stations, tours. We can talk about. There can be multiple levels, so that individual businesses could be a sponsor. But I think we need to get some major dollars here. So I think we can talk about that at our first meeting.
When you did sponsors this year, Chuck, did you do, if you pay, let's say you donate $300, I mean, let's say you get a $300 category, is that considered a gold sponsor, a silver sponsor?
You know what, Rosita, we didn't carry this out for reasons so much, because we canceled, but also this is we're actually a month late. This is the time of year where people set their budgets for next year. So I think we need to talk about sponsor. I mean, I wrote a letter last year. I think I've got it somewhere. I think we just have to come up with what will a sponsorship get you besides a place in heaven?
Yes.
And the other thing is, a sponsorship implies that there's going to be some kind of collateral, which is, are we going to reprint a Fiesta's program? Are all the sponsors going to be on another poster? So I think we have to, I think that should be one of the first things that we address along with the theme.
Yes.
So
good idea, yes.
I've noticed that there were Coca-Cola logos and Pepsi-Cola logos and that kind of thing on old posters.
Yeah, exactly. But if you don't ask, nobody's going to throw money at you.
Yeah.
So we need to ask.
Would it be too hard to send out some letters maybe in December saying that
we'll send letters out, but I think the letters have to go out soon, now, like in the next, at the latest, maybe 3 weeks.
Yes.
I just had another thought and I just lost it. Oh, I guess the other thing that we'll need to talk about is the other events besides music. which obviously are the rodeo, the 5 and 10K, and the fishing derby. And I think those are basically it. Is there ever going to be another carnival?
No, because the Elks will bring in their carnival in May.
Okay.
So that covers May, and then if the rodeo's in June from